pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Rainey. Moving on to item A3, call this meeting to order. Mrs. Gray, would you do roll call?
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mr. McClellan?
Here.
Mr. Melcher?
Here.
Mr. Wall?
Here.
Mr. Carl? Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Thank you, Mrs. Gray. A5, revision of the agenda. Mr. Trout, do we have any revisions?
Yes, Mr. Allen, we have two this evening for your consideration. Add to consent agenda item E8, personnel, Amy Morton, a substitute secretary effective 11/25/2025. And item number 2 is item F, finance 6, selective insurance company adjustment. And so those will be the two offerings I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion in reference to those revisions.
Motion to revise the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any discussion prior to the vote? Hearing none, we'll vote on the revisions. Motion passes 6-0. The agenda is revised. Moving on to items from visitors, B1 is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to address the board. We ask that you come up to the podium, and if you haven't signed the sheet, that doesn't prevent you from speaking. We just like for you to announce your name and let us know what you have to say. I do have a few on the list tonight. And first on the list is Leanne Pelfley.
Should I put this down? Hi, everyone. The board may not be aware of what I'm about to talk about, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. My name is Leanne Pelfley. I currently have a junior and a 6th grader in this school system. I want to preface this by saying that I am here of my own accord. No one put me up to this. Most people who know me know how passionate I am about football. I'm fortunate to have 5 children and a husband who love the sport as much as I do. I've had a boy playing at Huntington North since 2017, but my family has not always lived in Huntington. My boys have played in leagues outside of this county, which has given me the opportunity to see how other successful programs are built. This fall, our 6th grade came together as one team to form the Junior Vikings. They played several area schools and saw what real competition was like. We had 8 wonderful men step up to coach these boys and give them the attention they needed to be successful. There were 36 players, of which 17 had never played tackle football. The improvements made by these players each week was incredible. Week 1, they played East Noble and they lost 42-0, but they played them 3 weeks later and only lost by 1 point in the final minute of the game. The team finished the season 6-4, and many of these boys, it was the first time they'd ever been a part of a winning team. Imagine what these boys can do if they stay together as one team going forward. We need to keep this momentum going. When these boys enter 7th grade, we will be the only district in our conference with 2 separate middle school football teams. New Haven is combining their players from Paul Harding and New Haven into one team. It's time for Huntington to bring both of our middle school programs together. This is paramount to the future success of Viking football. Football is not like other sports. It's far more complex with an extensive playbook and takes significant resources, both in funding for equipment, field upkeep, and personnel. One of the ongoing challenges is finding coaches who can accommodate the school schedule. By combining the middle school programs, we can streamline this process, making it easier to recruit and retain qualified coaches. Combining the team allows for a greater selection of players and reduces the risks of injury, which benefits both individual athletes and the program as a whole. Coaches are able to assign players to positions that suit their individual strengths, allowing each child to receive focused guidance and develop specific abilities. This ensures athletes grow within the roles that complement their physical talents rather than being placed in positions out of necessity. Kids are not forced to play both offense and defense, thereby reducing the risk of injury. Additionally, there are more opportunities for substitution, ensuring players have adequate rest. Furthermore, when we have fewer players to choose from, kids get stuck playing positions they are not built for and cannot focus on the skills they need to learn, increasing the likelihood of injury and fatigue. This not only affects team performance, but also impacts individual player morale and safety. Kids may feel discouraged and may even choose to not continue with the sport if they are constantly placed in unsuitable positions. Another advantage of merging the teams is that each grade level can hold their own practice instead of practicing 7th versus 8th. This allows coaches to concentrate on the specific needs of each group, resulting in better skill development, more personalized attention, and further supporting both player growth and overall team success. A larger unified team brings more accountability. The added competition for position motivates each player to consistently attend practice and maintain strong academic performance to secure their spot. This level of commitment has been a challenge in the middle schools. Players also hold each other accountable and offer encouragement, fostering a culture of responsibility. Consistent teamwork fosters lasting bonds, promotes effective communication, and enables them to recognize each other's strengths and areas for improvement. These experiences not only prepare students for future competition, but also introduces them to the structure and expectation of varsity programs well before high school. As a result, they can adapt more easily and make meaningful contributions when they reach the next level. Ultimately, the advantages gained build a strong foundation, resulting in athletes who are more confident, capable, and cohesive as a team. If Huntington wants to retain athletes and remain competitive, changes must be made. Simply repeating past practices will not lead to improvement. While county rivalries and traditions are important, clinging to them when the same kids will play together eventually in high school does not support the growth of a successful program. It's also important to remember the promises made to improve the middle school program when the current varsity coach was hired. Now's the time to honor those commitments and move forward for the future of Viking football. We aren't trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to fix a flat.
Thank you, Mrs. Peffley. Our second speaker is Becky Smith.
Good evening. I just want to take the opportunity, you guys are used to hearing me talk about finance all the time, but tonight I want to honor your superintendent. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight as we honor someone who has made a remarkable difference in every district he has touched. I've had the privilege of working alongside John in 2 chapters of his leadership journey. First, as his CFO at Concord Community Schools, and later as a virtual CFO supporting him here at Huntington County Community Schools. In both places, we found ourselves walking into some difficult situations. And in both places, John led with clarity, courage, and unwavering commitment to doing what was right for students, staff, and the community. At Concord, we spent years untangling challenges that had built up long before either of us arrived. It wasn't easy work, but John brought stability, vision, and integrity every single day. When he retired at Concord, I could say with complete confidence that the district was stronger, healthier, and more future-focused because of his leadership. Then, 3 years ago, the phone rang, and I heard the familiar words, "Becky, we need to clean up something else. Can you help?" And without hesitation, I said yes. Because when John is leading the charge, you know the work matters. And you know you're part of a team that will get it done right away. Across both districts, we built a partnership grounded in trust, candor, and shared determination to leave things better than what we found them. But even more meaningful than the professional accomplishments has been our friendship. It has been steady, honest, and unwavering, something I value deeply. And while John may be retiring, that friendship is not. I'm grateful for the years behind us and look forward to many more years of staying connected, supporting one another, and sharing life beyond school finance and crisis cleanups. John is the kind of superintendent who makes people want to show up and do their best work. He models professionalism, he models integrity, and he models what it means to serve a community with heart. John, it's been an honor to stand beside you in the hard work and the good work. You have earned every bit of this retirement, again. And I know that wherever life takes you next, you'll continue making a difference. On behalf of those who have had the privilege working with you, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your friendship. You'll be deeply missed on the day-to-day and always appreciated. Congratulations, John.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Our third speaker is Mr. Miller.
Good evening, Hank Miller. Hey, before we start, I just want to let some of the board members know when you did your roll call, if you have your mics on and close to you so we could hear you. It's kind of far back there. So on to business. First, I want to congratulate Superintendent Trout. You stepped into a district during one of the most difficult chapters in recent memory, including the repairing the damage from the Bumgardner theft. For the past 5 years, I've personally watched you, and I'll say honestly, your ability to strategize, read a room, and guide this board towards agenda is something most corporate consultants wish they had. I'm not sure of your plans, but you could certainly make a career out of it. And even though your 15-minute explanations could always fit into 5 minutes, I'll still miss them. Thank you for steering the district through a storm. Appreciate it. Second, not so pleasant, I need to address something that the community keeps talking about. Huntington residents are tired of major appointments being decided with almost no prior public communications. We've seen this with the high school principal, with the interim superintendent you're going to hire tonight, and now again with the CFO appointments. We don't know the names until you guys announce them, not till the night of. These are not small items buried in the consent agenda. These are decisions that shape the district's future. This board needs to change the habit of announcing major hires on the same night that they're approved. Transparency is not optional. Finally, tonight is a big deal. You're not just approving an interim superintendent and a new CFO. You're also deciding District 3 school board seat, and the entire community is watching how you handle it. People want a board free from political alliances, employment hierarchies, and family ties. They want a board that reflects students, taxpayers, and public interest, not private networks. Huntington is wide awake now. Citizens are paying attention, and they expect a fair, transparent, and independent process tonight. One that restores trust, not undermines it. Thank you.
Moving on to item C1, Superintendent Retirement. We are here tonight to approve the retirement of Mr. Trout. Mr. Peters, I think you have something to read for us.
Yes, I do, Mr. Allen, thank you. Dear HCCS school community, over the past several months, I have come to understand that I no longer have the physical capacity to work at the level I have grown accustomed to since becoming a superintendent. The side effects from my cancer treatment in 2024 have gradually made it more difficult to sustain the same pace and workload that I once did. Therefore, I'm officially announcing my retirement as superintendent of Huntington County Community Schools. I remain cancer-free and received another clean bill of health this past summer. My hope was to continue serving our district for a few more years, but it has become clear that this is no longer possible. When I started my teaching career in 1984, I could never have dreamed that I would finish it in Huntington. Again, I began my educational journey at Warren Elementary, attended Salamone Junior High, and graduated from Huntington North High School in 1980. The teachers and staff who guided me as a student inspired me to become an educator, and I've carried their influence with me throughout my career. I'm extremely proud of what has been accomplished during my time as superintendent of HCCS, and I'm grateful for the dedication and commitment of the Board of School Trustees, the outstanding staff, and the unwavering support of our community. Together, we have made meaningful progress for our students and schools, and I consider it a privilege to have served alongside of you. I look forward to supporting the continued success of HCCS. My last day in the office will be Wednesday, November the 26th, 2025. With sincere gratitude, John Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. On behalf of the board, I want to thank Mr. Trout for his dedicated leadership while at Huntington County Community Schools. Our district has benefited immensely from his experience and depth of knowledge of important matters to our schools, from bargaining in good faith with our teachers and staff, to understanding the dynamics between different parts of the county, and navigating them with compassion and goodwill. He has been a trusted servant to the students and families of our district because of the attitude he brings to any conversation about our schools, and that attitude is one of support and providing opportunity for every child. Mr. Trout, you've conducted your business with grace and class. And we are grateful that we had the pleasure of working alongside you during your time here. Wish you only the best. Thank you.
Jeez, Tim, come on.
I made it. At this time, I will entertain a motion reference this agenda item.
It's with reluctance that I make the motion to approve Superintendent Trout's resignation as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. McClellan. I dare anybody to have any further discussion.
What I want to say is just for, so the public knows that the last work day will be Wednesday. The last employment day will be February the 19th. Not to get into too much personal about my medical issues, but FMLA will be part of this process. And so I just want the public to know that only thing that I've ever requested with that is in the addendum of my contract under Section 12 that be prorated. And so I'm not asking for a buyout because that's not fair to this community or this board. All I'm asking for is to honor those benefit days that we have listed in the contract since I don't take the retirement. So I just want to be candid and upfront with that, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Any further discussion or questions?
Just make it, Cindy, my motion should have included all that information about his benefit days. My motion should have included his benefit days and the proration of that. So I would like to amend my motion to have that all part of that, so let's make sure it's all proper.
Mr. McClellan, you still second that? Thank you. Anything further before we vote? Then we will vote on this motion. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you again, Mr. Trout. Moving on to C2, approval of interim superintendent. Since Mr. Trout has re-retired, and we are in need of a leader, I will entertain a motion as for our new interim superintendent.
I'd like to make a motion for interim superintendent for Chuck Brimberry.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. Is there a second for Mr. Brimberry?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any discussion or comments before we vote? I would just like to say that Mr. Brimberry, I think, has more than proven himself as capable. His efforts since he's been with Huntington, and I think probably in his entire career, are all about education. We appreciate your efforts so far and look forward to hopefully furthering that. Anything else?
Yeah, Tim, the effective date, so we can put it in for State Board of Accounts.
That would be effective November 27th.
Okay.
You're through the 26th, so we'll start on November 27th. Get ready to work on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Anything further? Let's vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, Mr. Brimberry, I think. Really looking forward to it and appreciate you.
Mr. Allen, thank you, and thank the board for your confidence. Want to thank Mr. Trout, my friend, as well. You successfully made Jay and I cry at the same meeting. I really appreciate that opportunity, John, and we wish you nothing but success. You've run a class act since the day you walked in here and hired me, and we're going to move this thing in a manner you would be proud of, I assure you. Thank my wife, Michelle, and my daughter for being here tonight. Maddie made the trip from Indiana State. They're off this week. For the board and for our community, we're a little short-handed in central office, but I promise you we have a great team that John put in place, and great board, great team of administrators, teachers, and we'll lock arms and move us forward. I assure you, you'll get a great effort on behalf of these kids in this district. So honored that you allowed me to do this. I'm looking forward to the challenge, I assure you.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I will also just mention that the board will be meeting soon to begin to review plans as far as this permanent superintendent position. That will begin very soon, and hopefully we can begin that process the first of the year. Moving on now to C3, approval of CFO, Mr. Trout.
Yes, boy, am I excited to make this recommendation for you this evening.
Point of clarity, I don't believe we voted on that. On
the
Brimberry?
interim?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did we vote?
6-0?
Did we vote, Cindy?
Oh, yeah, we did. We did.
Man.
Matt and I were lost there for a second.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool, both of you.
Good.
Do we need to help that side of the table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Wall, I'd appreciate not re-voting.
Thank you all. Mr. Trout.
Okay, we'll start back again with approval of Chief Financial Officer. I am really excited to make this recommendation for you this evening. I think Becky and I have probably been working together 3+ years here, and consistently what we have been looking for is someone that perfectly fits Mrs. Babcock. And I tell you that, Michelle, because we have done our due diligence over the last, my 4+ years of being here, of looking to fill this position with someone of your talents and skills and disposition. And you and I have had multiple conversations on the phone. You have been here through interviews. You have also talked extensively with Mr. Brimberry. Any time that somebody gives me a review and a recommendation like Mrs. Smith and Dr. Sager did for you, it's going to be a true privilege for this corporation to have someone coming in here each and every day leading this district financially. A little bit about Michelle. She is an HU grad of all things with an associate's degree in organizational management. She's got a Bachelor of Science and Business Administration and Human Resource Management from Huntington University. She's also got a Master's in Business Administration of the University of Southern Illinois. Her professional volunteer experiences, she is the chair, which is no small feat, I might add, of the School Finance Research Committee for IASBO. Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive stuff there. She's also a School Finance Professional Development Committee member. She's also part of the HCCS Education Foundation as a board member and treasurer. Currently, Mrs. Babcock serves as the business manager at Shelbyville Central Schools. Michelle is, if approved this evening, will be moving our direction next summer. So it will bring me great joy to drop in the office and see how you're doing once in a while, Michelle, within that. But she brings a vast amount of experience with that. Michelle is excited, I don't speak for you, about moving your family here up in this area. So Michelle, do you just want to make a couple comments before the board votes this evening?
Yes, I wanted to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much for all those kind words. I just see it as I'm doing my job, which I love drastically. I truly enjoy what I do, and I think it is important to be transparent for the community. And I am so excited to become a part of the team here. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And so, board, it brings me great joy to recommend to you this evening Michelle Babcock as our new Chief Financial Officer. The details are in your board packet with that. Please know that this has, and I'm not over-exaggerating this when I say this has been a 4-year process. And now that we have someone of your talents and skills, Michelle, our business team, quite frankly, is elated. She's met with them, she's talked with them on multiple occasions, and so I think we're ready to hit the ground running with that. So I highly recommend Mrs. Babcock for our open CFO position.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion, reference this agenda item.
Motion to approve the Chief Financial Officer as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. McClellan. Any further comments or discussion before we vote? Hearing none, we will vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, Mrs. Babcock. We'll move on to C4, HCCS Contracted Services Agreements. Mr. Trout.
Yes, board, in your packets this evening, what I have for a recommendation for you are 2 contracted services agreements. May not be known yet to the public, but it will be here shortly that Mrs. Smith's last school board meeting with us. And so, Becky, thank you for the kind words. I still get a shot at you here in a couple of minutes, but I do want to say thank you for your years of service here. But what I'm recommending for you this evening is the continuation of a service agreement with Dr. Denise Sager and Mrs. Babcock. Michelle can start working with our business team as early as next week. Even though a lot of it will be done virtually, some of it will be done in-house. It will mirror pretty closely what Becky Smith was doing with our team. Dr. Sager brings a wealth of knowledge to our business practices that we're currently doing. And I want to continue. I strongly recommend that we continue with that. I will say, however, when the new superintendent is hired, these timelines are essential because I think you're going to want to have as a board a pretty extensive conversation if these will continue or not. When you bring somebody in like Michelle, the new superintendent, and you will not want to have a conversation with Mrs. Babcock about if you want to continue down this process or not. But I'm recommending those 2 contracted services agreements for you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion reference these contracted service agreements.
Make a motion to approve the contractual service agreements for Chief Financial Officer and for consulting services as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any comments or discussion before we vote? I hear none, so we'll vote. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to item D1, HNHS new course proposals 2026-2027. Dr. Deggets?
Good evening. I am here largely just to clarify and answer questions that the board may have. You should have received from me a 7-page document with 18 new course proposals or renames listed. Just so we're aware, tonight I think is scheduled to be a first reading of those. So I will be happy to answer any questions, and then the action item or the vote would take place at the December meeting. Just a few highlights of the course proposals. We do have 18 for consideration by the school board. They are a combination of completely new courses or reintroductions of courses that were on our program of studies books previously. A couple of them are just simply name or title changes to fit Indiana Department of Education new descriptions so that we're compliant there. Many of them also help to build out the portfolio of courses in light of the new diploma requirements. I've presented on that in the past where, starting with the graduating class of 2029, there will be new diploma requirements for those students. And so as a part of that, to help make sure they're prepared, we have new courses that will be asked by the board for consideration. We have everything from introductory classes where it's for freshmen to get their feet wet with different content areas, all the way through advanced placement courses and everything in between. As outlined in your document, just to give you a brief sense of the overview of the process, these course proposals were developed by teachers, so that was the origin of it, to make sure that we have staffing for it, to make sure that there's licensure, and also to make sure that there's interest by our staff. The next step was for those courses to be considered by our policy committee. The policy committee vetted those course proposals, asked questions, and then officially voted on those. Those happened last month, right prior to fall break. Next, the administrative team looked through that to, again, make sure that staffing levels were appropriate so that we don't have to add additional teachers in the future, so that we can make sure it fits in the schedule and the program of studies. And then obviously the board consideration will be this next step. Beyond that, if approved, courses will be added to our program of studies for students and parents to be able to make those selections. There's a little bit of a natural selection process. So just because a course is listed in our program of studies does not necessarily mean that it will be taught next school year. Students, as you know, particularly for elective courses, have the ability to choose and select which courses are of interest. So if there's simply not the demand for it, it will stay in our program of studies, but not necessarily be taught as part of our master schedule for next year. The ultimate goal with this, honestly, is to equip, stretch, and really prepare our students for their next steps. A lot of these courses are in the elective areas because with the new diploma requirements, there will be more capacity for our students to be able to elect not only graduation pathways, but what interests they have for careers or in college. And so we're really excited about what work has been done by our teachers, and I would be happy to entertain any specific questions you may have on the courses proposed.
What's the minimum number of students that you would need to start it up?
That's a great question. It's not all equal. So for example, we have several advanced placement and honors classes that will be smaller in number than some of our introductory or freshman level courses. I would say our typical ratio for the introductory level, we like to have a threshold of between 20 to 25. We do have some advanced placement and dual credit courses that are maybe 10 to 12, simply because as you progress through those higher level course sequences, the funnel starts to broaden in terms of what students will pick which courses. And so there's not an exact science to it. Our guidance department and I will sit down in the spring and really vet that process, and just becomes literally a 1,000 upon 1,000 upon 1,000 piece puzzle that we have to put together. Right now, our smallest class size for advanced placement would be 9. So if that gives you some sense.
Okay, Yeah, because I was thinking in my head, if it was 20, say, and you had 30 enroll, my next question was going to be, what happens if you got 30, how you going to make the cut?
Sure.
But you answered it with the 9.
Yep, and there are
Roughly.
other sequences in the equation too, such as if we have 30 students express interest, and it's a higher level course, we could split that into 2 sections of 15. Some of that, again, will be based on staffing availability and just teacher schedules and licensure. So a lot of parts to the equation, but we've been blessed with folks that are well equipped to be able to teach these.
Anyone else? I'd just like to say I had several questions, but you're pretty thorough, Dr. Daggett, and you answered them all while you were talking about this, so thank you for that. Nothing else? That was the first reading. Thank you, Dr. Daggett.
Thank you.
Move on to D2, United Way and HNHS CTE program MOU for technology support.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Bringing to you an MOU and a partnership between our Huntington North CTE IT operations capstone course, which currently consists of 2 seniors, and our United Way of Huntington County, which is a 1-person staff with limited technical support. And so this partnership would serve 2 major advantages. First, giving students hands-on experience that mirrors that real entry-level IT work. And the second advantage, the collaboration strengthens our district commitment to community engagement and directly supports strategy 5.4.1 of our HCCS strategic plan. So tonight I'm asking for your approval of this MOU. There is no cost to the district, and it's a win-win situation for not only our students but for our United Way of Huntington County.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. I'll entertain a motion reference this item.
Motion to approve the United Way and Huntington North High School CTE program MOU for technology support as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions or discussion before we vote? This does sound like a win-win, Mr. Peters. These are great programs, so I appreciate that. Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to E, consent agenda items 1 through 10. Mr. Trout.
Yes, we'll begin this evening by looking at number 7. I've asked Mr. Peters to say a couple words on the elementary 9-month secretary job description for this evening.
We have brought before you, thank you, Mr. Trout, before you a job description that would fit and bring alignment to the requirements of this position that are now consistent in 2 of our elementary buildings, and I'm asking and will be asking permission to post this secretarial position, 9-month secretarial position at Flint Springs Elementary School here this next week with hopes of starting after Christmas break. The need, the complexity issues that we have at Lincoln Horace Mann and Flint Springs, this position would be at Flint Springs would allow us to accomplish things that are in the office there. And again, this job description brings us an alignment that we have not had and being consistent with this position, but asking permission that we could post a 9-month secretarial position at Flint Springs. Lori Satchwell is the lead secretary treasurer there at Flint Springs. This would be an addition to that to provide support due to the complexity of Flint Springs Elementary School. So asking tonight for your permission to post this position.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
And then lastly, I just want to draw your attention to accept donations and grants. That's not an error in your board packet. Just this past month, I'm asking you to accept $91,312.75 from our community. And the list is long. We could be here quite a while for me to read the list, and I don't want to pull people out because that's not fair, but My goodness. When I saw this, when we were putting the board packet together last week, I was just amazed and going through. And so, so many communities, when I tell them about the donations we receive from our community, and I tell my colleagues across the state, they can't believe it. And this month is no exception. And so, board, I'm just asking for your approval of all consent agenda related items.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion in reference to this consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. McClellan. Any questions before we vote or comments?
Just a question, Mr. Peters. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to just verify that. This 9-month secretary position, is that going to be paid out of the education fund?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to F, Finance and the financial reports for October. Mrs. Smith.
Good evening. I just want to say I am happy to hear about that secretary position. I think that's very, very important in our elementary schools nowadays. My other district, we also did that at every one of our elementaries because of the cross-training and the need and the high-level needs that we have, especially after COVID in those front offices. So that was nice to hear that you're adding that position. So moving on, as you guys are used to seeing our financial statements, these are for October. So up on your screen, you'll see our education fund. And this time of year, you'll see on the left-hand side, of course, our budget order, our anticipated revenues there under that green. And then under the blue is our estimated expenditures along with any kind of carry forward purchase orders from last year. And in the middle there, you'll see our months actuals. So for the month of October, you'll see a little over $3.4 million for our revenue that's come in, and you'll see the majority of that is our state tuition based on our average daily membership. That's our student counts, and that student count comes twice a year. So that is October 1st and February 1st. So you'll see those numbers change at those times of years based on our actual ADM that comes through. And then you'll see our expenditures down at the bottom by object type. So you'll see that broken out between salaries, benefits, and such. And then you'll see a little over $2.8 million that was expended under those expenditures. And then also like to note the transfer. This transfer is that education to operations fund transfer that's allowed by law. Just to remind the board and the public, back in 2019, they got rid of the old general fund. The old general fund used to have 4 categories in it. 2 categories remained and now is in the education fund. And then 2 of the other categories moved to what's now called the operations fund. That used to be the capital projects fund, the transportation operating, and the bus replacement fund. Because that transfer happened of those 2 categories into the new operations fund, the revenue did not follow that. So our revenue that we receive from our tuition support, our basic grant that happens into the education fund, we are able to transfer up to 15% of those dollars into the operations fund to cover those expenditures that move from those categories without the revenue moving with them. So just wanted to remind you of that, and you'll see that transfer that happened in October in the amount of a little under $2.6 million, and then for a total for the year of $5.75 million moved from our education fund to our operations fund, which is well below our 15%. I think we average between 13 and 14% for the district in that transfer. And then over to the right, you'll see the same information from the data to the left in graph form. On the right, it shows the percent of budget. And just wanted to highlight that budget. That you'll see the blue or purple area on your screen and maroon color there. And you'll see that basically 96% of the education fund is salaries and benefits. Like you talked about earlier with that secretary's position, most of the positions out of the education fund, the majority are all at the building level. So that's why they divided it up between the education fund and the overall operations fund. So that is all your principals, your teachers, your instructional assistants, all those at the building level to help educate those children in each one of your schools. So you'll see that there, and then you'll see the graphs of the revenue and expenditures according to the budget there. The box that has the little blue highlight is we're about 83% through the year, and you'll see our revenue we received is just below that at 82.6%, and our expenditures are around 73.5%. So we're right on target for this time of year, and then we also indicate in the notes there with our education to ops transfer on that. Our next fund you'll see is our debt service fund, and you'll see no action for the month of October in this fund. And as a reminder, this fund is where we receive property taxes based on the need from bonds and different leases that we've taken out. And the revenue comes in 2 times a year, mainly 2 times a year, which is June and December. We might get a little bit of advance in May and November, but the majority comes in June and December. And then also those amortization schedules are paid in June and December. Just like you think of your mortgage at your home, we pay, of course, monthly with our mortgages, but these are mortgages on those bonds or leases, and they're paid twice a year in June and December. So this fund is right on target, and you'll see a lot more action at the end of the year. And then next is our other major fund that I was talking about, from our education fund to our operations fund. These are the overall operations of the district. This has a lot of central office people in there. It has technology, it has transportation, building and grounds, custodial, all those that help with the overall operations of the district. So you'll see there on the left-hand side, the budget, the anticipated revenues with the transfers are a little over $20 million. And then you'll see expenditures estimates a little over $23 million, and that has all the carried forward purchase orders from last year, where that appropriation does carry forward to be able to pay for it this year. And then you'll see our month and for our actuals of, with that transfer for the revenue, $2.7 million. We spent about $1.7 million. And then you'll see there are fund balances at the summary at the bottom, and then all the summaries on the right-hand side there that reflect all of the information that we just seen on the left-hand side. So we're right on target for this fund. We did that transfer in October due to those dollars not coming in yet from the tax money. So this is a tax fund, which has a maximum tax to it. So that's why we're allowed that transfer also. The money for this fund also comes twice a year, mainly June and December. So you'll see that shore up by the calendar year end. Mostly, like I indicated, these are calendar year funds, January through December, not fiscal year funds. So they don't go in line with the school year, but the actual budgets go in line with the calendar year. And then last but not least, you'll see your rainy day fund, which has no action in there for the month of October, and you'll continue to see that through the end of December. So that will remain at your fund balance of $3.9 million in our rainy day fund. And then next you will see the comparison reports that you're used to, and that's the one listed on your screen is your education fund. We started doing these to be more transparent with the board and the public to see how we've done throughout the years every month. So this goes from 2019 to present, and then the current month is highlighted there in green. So you can tell what our cash balances were from all those years for each month. So you'll see in October here, we finished with a $14.7 million cash balance, which compared to October of 2019, we had $7 million. So we've built those up by design, and we have facility studies that we have done where we are taking measures to do certain projects according to the board and their time frame of how they want to utilize those dollars in anticipation of future projects between our operations fund and also our debt fund using bonds and leases. So that is it for the education fund, and then we also do the same type of mechanism for our operations fund, where you can, I'm sorry, that was education fund, and now we're on operations fund, so this is the one that we are going to be doing projects, sorry about that, I need to correct that, from our education fund, which we utilize that one for raises and increases and things like that. Our operations fund here, we have a little over, just under $2.5 million compared to 1.1 in 2019. So that is good to see how that is moving along, and we also have been doing a lot of projects. Mr. Brimberry can attest to that with our operations fund and our debt fund. So wanted to clarify that between the two funds, but our balances are both healthy in both those. Mr. Trout and I have worked together these last 3 years to create these type of reports for the board and for the public, to be transparent, to show and showcase what we have been doing for finances and right-sizing the ship here at Huntington. And also, we have been able to do a lot of good work with our union, with our teachers union, and getting them more marketable where they are very marketable across the state now with their increases that they have received over the last 3 years. And that is all along the way with us still being able to have a healthy cash balance and looking toward the future with all the legislative changes that have happened, and then preparing ourselves very nicely in the future for fiscal solvency. And I am excited that we'll have Michelle Babcock to be able to take over as CFO here at Huntington. And what Mr. Trout was talking about, she is fabulous. I have worked with her throughout my career and have a lot to do with her and a lot of interactions with her through IASBA, which is Indiana Associations of School Business Officials. So like John and I said, we've been, I came temporarily 3 years ago to help out, but wasn't willing to leave the district in not good hands. So now I'm happy that we will have someone be able to take over, that will be able to step in seamlessly and keep you moving forward. So I'm happy for that.
Well, Becky, I want to say personally thank you on behalf of myself and the board. I smiled over the weekend. I went back and looked at some of the financial reports we started doing when I first arrived. They were one-pagers. If you remember, they were one-pagers.
They were.
And I distinctly remember a few of you who are still on the board made no small feat of my, said, this has got to stop. And then what happened was it turned into what you now received. And we have grown accustomed to this, thinking that this is the way life works, and it is. And so you've been watching cash balances grow, and in the same time, you've been watching us, I get stopped a lot and say, how did you possibly give the increases? Well, you got a snapshot of the growth that we have had there. Becky, on behalf of the school board, can't say thank you enough. You have been such a joy to work with. You have been great with this board. I think the board feels the same way about you. And I just personally want to say thank you for your steadfastness. We didn't always agree.
No. That's what happens.
That's what happens. It seems like a love fest this evening, but there's times where you and I have fun. And so I just want you to know I have the utmost respect for you. We have a small token that you can put on your shelf in your office, that when you look at that, you can remember us, because you have played such an instrumental part and poured such a foundation for Mrs. Babcock and the team moving forward. So I just personally want to say thank you, and this is a small token of appreciation we have. We'll take pictures afterwards, okay? But I want to give this to you and say thank you. How about a nice round of applause from Mrs. Smith?
All right, we will move on. Oh, no, we won't. We need to entertain a motion. Reference financial report.
Make a motion to approve the financial reports as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions or comments? Mr. Wall?
You know you couldn't get out of here without at least one last question. We approved the raise package last meeting. When would we start seeing those numbers on a regular, because I know we have some back pay and stuff like that, so when would we start seeing a normal pay cycle with that new raise in that?
Sure, in December, December financials, you'll see the actual increases to their bases along with some back pay. So then the normalcy will be in January. So January we'll have everything down to the normal without having the additional back pays and those type of things. So January of 2026.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I'm sure Mr. Brimberry will do a stupendous job of giving you those details at that meeting, Mr. Wall.
Mr. Wall, December 12th is back pay. I'm prepared for those sort of comments from my outgoing friend.
Us too. Any further questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, let's vote on the motion.
We all remember, Gary.
Financial reports are approved 6-0. Move on to F2, workers' compensation coverage, increase in employers' liability. Mr. Trout.
Yes, we have, the next few agenda items are dealing with updates to our corporation insurance. Want to shout out Mr. Smith. I see he walked in the door here this evening. Has been a great help. Through our meetings with them, he has suggested that for an additional $500,000 coverage, we could increase our employers' liability limits for a premium of $408. And so to me, after Scott has studied what we've been doing and what's going on, he makes that recommendation, and I strongly urge you to approve an additional $500,000 in coverage for the increased employees' liability limits. This is in the workman's comp for $408 in premium.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion reference this item.
Motion to approve the workers' compensation coverage increase in employers' liability as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions or comments before we vote? This does sound like a good opportunity for us.
Mm-hmm.
That $408, is that per month?
Scott, the question is, you didn't think he was going to speak again today, but you didn't get that lucky. The $408, Mr. Carl asked, is that a month or is that annually?
No, that's annually, Mr. Carl, and the rest of the board.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Just hang on there. You'll probably have some more.
Yeah,
I'm guessing here
you
in a
might
second.
want to just sit in the
No.
front row here, so yeah.
That's fine.
Anything else, Mr. Carl? Anyone else? All right, let's vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to F3, cybersecurity insurance.
Yes, part of the RFP process that we have been working on through the last several months is to increase our coverage with cybersecurity. I am happy to announce today that we're able to do that and increase our limits to $2 million. And so there, what I have for you this evening is your consideration for Tokyo Marine to be our new cybersecurity insurance company.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion, reference this item.
Make a motion that we approve the proposal for HCC Tokyo Marine cybersecurity insurance for the $2 million level.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. McClellan. Any questions or comments before we vote?
I should have mentioned that the premium cost with this one is $28,452 for this insurance.
Again, assuming that's annually?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Anything else? Then let's vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to F4, tail coverage for law enforcement liability.
Really want to thank Mr. Mettler for his help with the cybersecurity insurance as well as this tail coverage for law enforcement liability. What I'm requesting is two important insurance endorsements that ensure that the district remains fully protected against potential liabilities arising from past law enforcement related activities conducted by our SROs. This will go back in time 36 months with a $1 million primary limit. That premium cost annually is $878. There's an umbrella that goes with this also for $10 million limit. That's a premium cost of $1,162. This really truly protects the district from delayed reporting claims in case there would happen to be any, like I said, up to 3 years back. Safeguards for finances, which we have talked about, and so I'm just requesting your permission for this recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion, reference the tail coverage for law enforcement liability.
Motion to approve the tail coverage for law enforcement liability and the umbrella tail coverage for law enforcement liability as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, we'll vote on this motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to F5, community-based instruction fund request.
Yes, for your approval this evening, I'm requesting that the essential skills programs at Horseman, Crestview, and Huntington North be allocated $500 per building for the 25-26 school year to use for community-based instruction experiences. As you have laid out in your board packet, these community-based instruction educational experiences, it's an approach that takes learning beyond the classroom for our students, and it provides students with real-world hands-on experiences. So I am recommending your approval of this proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I'll entertain a motion, reference this item.
Recommend approval of the allocation of education funds to essential skills programs at Horseman, Crestview, and Huntington North as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions or comments prior to us voting? I would just add that this seems like a pretty small number, and if there was more we could do, I think the board would love to do that.
And I know, Tim, that you have been personally engaged with these programs, and I appreciate that.
Anything further? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to F6, Selective Insurance Company Adjustment.
These are riveting school board agenda items. I can tell by the look of the crowd that they just can't wait for the next one to come up here. This is the last one we have this evening. I do want to say to Mr. Smith, thank you for your patience with this. Since we've done the RFP, we've updated a lot of our inventory and list for our vehicles throughout the district. And what I'm doing is now we have the most up-to-date vehicle list in the entire district. And so when we did the RFP process, there are things that's changed between that time and currently. And so it's a slight adjustment. It's an additional $1,713 in premium for us to make sure that we're completely 100% accurate, because all of these policies take hold December 1st. Yes, so that's why we wanted to make sure we had the most up-to-date list for you, so I'm just recommending your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. I will entertain a motion reference this item.
Motion to approve the Selective Insurance Company adjustment as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any questions prior to voting? Hearing none, we'll vote on this motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item G1, items of discussion by board members. Anybody got anything they'd like to share? Please.
I wasn't able to talk earlier, but I do want to recognize a few people in the audience here. My mom and my brother are sitting right back there. Hi, Mom. Hi, Ted. And I appreciate you coming this evening. Clear in the back is my wife, Kathy. You got to wave now, Kathy. You can't hide from people. I just want to tell my family thank you. When you do this job, your family walks through this journey with you. And so what's been hard for them is that my previous districts, they never knew what was going on because it wasn't at home. And now there's nothing like getting a phone call from your mother who says, tell me, John, what's going on with it, and then follow in, and then the rest of it is history. But I do want to say thank you to them. They do truly walk through this together. And so I really appreciate your support from all three of you. It's meant a lot to me. And so I'm grateful for that. Mrs. Peffley, it's not easy standing up at a board meeting and talking, and I appreciate your honesty and your courage in order to do that. And Hank, I'm going to say something I never thought I'd ever say, okay? Thank you for your words. I know that you and I have not always seen eye to eye. I think that's fair to say, but I do want to tell you thank you. I appreciate your words. It meant a lot to me. It's not what I was expecting to hear you say by any stretch, but I don't want the evening to pass without me telling you up front, thank you. That meant a lot to me, and I wanted you to know that.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Anyone else have anything?
Tim, John, it's really hard to say goodbye to somebody that came in our darkest moment financially to Huntington County Schools. And in such a short time, you raised it up, you created a positive environment with your personality and your caring and your dedication to kids. It's so impressive. While it's hard to say goodbye, we want to celebrate and thank you, and hope you do well. Enjoy your retirement. Kick up your heels a little bit. What, this is your second retirement?
Yes, and yes, this is the second one, and I'm going to perfect this one, so.
I would like to add, I forgot to mention this earlier, but at some point there is going to be a reception for Mr. Trout. I know it's being planned. We intend to embarrass him as much as possible, but honor him for the wonderful job he's done for Huntington County Community Schools. So watch for word of that, and hopefully we can get a big audience to come and see him. Anything else, guys?
I do, Tim.
John, I'm going to say, I've been here the longest out of everybody here. I've been through a lot compared to where I started to where we are now. To a superintendent that could have went anywhere he wanted to in the state of Indiana and come home, because you were that well known, I thank you. To leave us where you're leaving us tonight, where we're sitting, I thank you, because in the past, there was a lot of times I wondered why I ever walked out the door and come back in the past year or so. But thank you. It's been great serving with you, and it's been fun. So.
Thank you, Mr. McClellan.
I wasn't going to say anything, but now I feel like I need to. So thank you, Mr. Trout, for everything. Your knowledge, your humor, to have fun but yet be serious is huge to me. You know, where you can joke around but yet you can have a good conversation. You know, whether you agree or disagree, you can still joke at the end. I really appreciate that, and you really helped bring this, I guess, district together. You build an awesome team. I mean, we're all proud of all our team right now. We haven't been like that in a long time. Sorry to the Trout family for all the extra stress, but he's all yours now, so enjoy him. Thank you. And thank you, Mrs. Smith. My words, not anybody else's, you helped dumb down the finances for me. I was confused when I first came on. It takes a lot to try and figure everything out, and you helped me understand them better. I'm not a math whiz by no means, but you know, you helped me. So thank you very much for all your help.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher.
Yeah, well, everyone else is talking, so I might as well say it. So, John, I thank you because I was that board member when you first started asking about the financial reports that you and Becky finally got to make it look nice. And just, you know, you're shepherding us to this point because I think while we're at 6 now, hopefully we'll be at 7 again, you've helped us get to where we are and work as a team. And I see that not only with the board, but also with the other school, with everyone in the corporation. You're leaving us in a good spot. With some good people to carry it forward, and I every time I do that, you embody every student every day. So you're always talking about that. You're always getting us to think about that, and I do that. So I do appreciate that. And Becky, thanks again for answering all the questions that I have, and I do have a lot. So I'll leave it there. But again, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Anything else?
John, I'd like to say thank you for everything that I've learned since I've been on here for the last year. You're always open for conversation, and what I've seen behind the scenes, you've done a great job. I appreciate it with you and Becky and the financial stuff. And just a little bit of humor. I was a year old when you graduated high school, so.
Well, thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. I'm going to stun everyone and tell them I don't have anything to add. I do have one thing more I'd like to say, though, because we need to take a moment to acknowledge someone at HCCS who truly works hard for our schools every day and has done so for some time. This person never asked for recognition, yet is nearly irreplaceable in this district. The accomplishments are too numerous to mention, and most have been behind the scenes and have certainly not gone unnoticed. It is the board's pleasure to present Cindy Gray with a small gift in recognition of her celebrating 30 years of service working for Huntington County Community Schools. You really do make a difference every day, Mrs. Gray. Congratulations and thank you.
So Cindy has been the administrative assistant for 7 superintendents. Oh, okay? She has been in that role for 21 years. Which is an incredible journey from that. I will say to you, my job would be impossible without her. The wealth of knowledge, her encouragement, what she provides behind the scenes each and every day seamlessly is due to an enormous amount of work and hard work that goes on behind the scenes. So for you to have tolerated 7 superintendents is pretty amazing along the way, soon to be 8 one day. But I just want to say personally, thank you. It's been a joy to work alongside you every day. You have helped me not step on a lot of landmines over the last few years. And so I just want to say personally, I'm grateful for everything that you have done. Thank you. If I could add one thing, if my mom and Kathy and Ted could stay around, we're going to take a picture. Yes, Mom, I'm in charge, at least now. We're going to get a picture, and then the rest of the group, we're going to go out into the hallway and take some pictures of some things this evening as we get ready for the next round. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Moving on to adjournment. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned.
cup has either first or second. So he'll draw one name out of the first cup, one name out of the second cup, and match those up, and that'll be the sequence that we're going. Yeah. So Carrie will go first, Ken will go second. The way this process works, just to reiterate what's been presented to the public, when Mrs. Heim resigned, it started a 30-day process for filling this position under Indiana law. By the statute, when a position opens up on a board such as this, the remaining board members fill that position. An application was sent out a couple of weeks ago for persons living in Rock Creek, Salamone, Jefferson, Wayne, and Polk townships to apply for the position. Those applying needed to be a resident of those townships. We had 3 applicants. We said Mrs. Miller, Mr. Thompson, and a third applicant that we released, Mr. Garwood, who did withdraw his candidacy this afternoon. So we will be interviewing the 2 candidates, asking them the same 10 or 11 questions. We're obviously streaming this so it can be broadcast to the community. After which, we'll move into still a public session, not an executive session. And instead of a motion, I move to elect A or B. We will just do a roll call, and Mrs. Gray will say your name, alphabetical order, and you'll indicate which candidate you support, Mrs. Miller or Mr. Thompson. It will require 4 votes to elect. If we would end up, after however long, still a 3-3 tie, we could declare an impasse, and then it would be, by statute, it goes to the judge of the Huntington Circuit Court, and he would make a decision in the manner he sees fit. So, first of all, we need to have a roll call for this meeting. So, Mrs. Gray, can you do that, please?
I need to call this meeting to order, a special session of the Huntington County Community Schools Board of Trustees, November 24th, 2025. Now we'll go to item 2, roll call, Mrs. Gray.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mr. McClellan?
Here.
Mr. Melcher?
Here.
Mr. Wall?
Here.
Mr. Carl?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
I will turn this over to Mr. Wiley.
Okay, I already took charge there. Okay, and we held the draw and to see who would go first, and Mrs. Miller matched up with the first position. So, and we've allocated about 20 minutes for this. Obviously, if it takes
longer than that, that's fine. If it takes shorter than that, that's fine. And the questions have been assembled by the board members, and obviously if they have follow-up questions, you're encouraged to ask follow-up questions too. Okay, with that, Mrs. Miller, please introduce yourself to the board. Talk about your personal background, education experiences as it relates to your application for this job.
Hello, my name is Carrie Miller. I am employed at Innovative Packaging. I have been there for 32 years. My employment goes anywhere from the plant floor to the office to human resources to accounting to IT, my education, sorry, it was supposed to be education. I graduated from Huntington North High School in '88. I do have some college. I did go to Indiana Business College after that. I fall into the range of people that would have enjoyed the Learning Center had it been available for me back then. School is not my thing. Hate to say that publicly, but it's not. I learned by doing. I learned by working hard and doing the projects that I need to do to get to where I need to be.
Tell us about board of director, trustee experience, committee work, not-for-profit experience that you've had in the past.
I'm currently on the board for the Huntington County Chamber of Commerce. I am on the board for the Optimist Club. I'm currently president for the Optimist Club this year. I'm on the board for the Boys and Girls Club of Huntington. I'm treasurer for my church in Warren, Church of Warren, First Christian Church of Warren. Sorry, we changed names in my tenure there. So I do have quite a bit of not-for-profit experience.
Please discuss what you believe are the qualities and skills of an effective school board member, and how does that match your strong qualities and skills?
Good skills for a school board member, I believe, is you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to communicate well with the public as well as with your fellow board members to be able to effectively get anything done. You can have differing opinions with your people. You just have to be able to work your way through and come to a medium point that you agree on to get things done. It's not always going to be your way. It's not always going to be their way. There's always a fine line that we can get to for that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, were you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Probably just the most basic of questions. Why did you apply for this position? Why do you want to serve on a school board?
I have been coming to the school board meetings since you guys were meeting out in Salamone at the school. I followed Carrie Hine to support her and just enjoyed coming to the meetings and seeing how they run and how they affect the public. And I have grandkids that go to many different schools. I got a couple elementary schools, middle school, high school covered. And it's just been a passion of mine to serve the community and serve for kids.
With your job, do you have the ability to devote the time necessary to take on this responsibility?
Yes. Yes, I do.
What do you see are the strengths and weaknesses of public education in Huntington County?
I think one of the strengths is what I've seen over the years is the ability to add more curriculum, more groups, to make sure that there's something for everybody. I remember sitting in the one of the meetings when they introduced the rodeo group. And I thought, oh, I have a granddaughter that does rodeo, how fun. So just to be able to add that, I thought was a great opportunity for her and for anybody else that loves horses and rodeo and whatever else is involved in rodeo. But there are many other different things that you guys have added. And inclusivity for people is important. Everybody needs an avenue to release and have something to do.
Second part of that question were, what do you see as weaknesses in our public education system?
The weakness that I've seen over the years is the turnover in the teachers. And I know that was one of John's, Mr. Trout's things that he's worked on as far as increasing pay to be able to keep teachers for longer so they don't go to other school districts.
How will you address concerns brought to you by the public? And then how will your board votes reflect priorities and desires of the people in your district? First part, when a patron, community member brings a concern to you, how will you deal with that? And then how will that affect any votes you make?
If somebody was to bring something to me, I would listen and understand their point of view, and then I would bring it to the board and to see what can be done, if anything can be done to correct or address the issue that needs to be, or that has been brought to me. And I know not everything that's brought to me by the public will be rectified. But to give them a voice that says, oh, at least I was heard and I got an answer back saying what we can or cannot do is what I would do for them. And what was the second half?
Well, then, I guess how does your vote, how would a vote on an issue reflect what the community has brought to you? In other words, if you hear from 3 or 4 people about reopening the pool at Salamone, for example. There's a pool there that's not been used for lots of years, and you've received phone calls, but yet you maybe also know the issues that have been well publicized regarding that. How would you balance community input versus if your vote maybe didn't match what people were asking of you?
I believe that I would vote with the best knowledge that I have for the situation. I won't say that I won't let the public persuade my vote, but I have to look at all sides, not just their side. I have to look at the logical side as far as the school is concerned and the financial side to be able to do the best job for the whole, not just for the one or the two. But I think the best thing for them is to know that their voice is heard.
Okay. Not necessarily opposite, but a different approach. What would be your personal priorities for the school board? If you come onto this board, where there be some personal items that priorities that you'd like to see happen in the next year, 2 years down the road?
Probably the communication, make sure that the communication is good between the board and the public. Make sure the board's voices are heard as to why things are done. And trying to think of the right words, to make sure, like I said, just to make sure that the voices of the board are heard above the voices that are negative.
How do we communicate in 2025 with the demise of newspapers and reporting? You know, when years ago, I couldn't wait to see the Sunday paper to see what Mike Perkins had to say about this or that. We've lost that in the community. So as far as print news media, this same thing, priorities, concerns, how do we address those types of issues?
I know I get a newsletter periodically from the school system that I believe John started. And if he didn't, I apologize. I don't want to take credit away from anybody. But that's a good thing that gets mailed out, I believe, to all the constituents of Huntington County. That's a good way to communicate with them. You put out your good stuff on Facebook. That's never a good place to air dirty laundry or anything. So it's just getting together with the public and making yourself available to answer questions if anybody should have them.
Do you have, should there be some corporate goals for the board in the next year?
Yeah, and keep working on teacher retention, because the more stable we can be with our teachers, the better our students will be.
Please give us your definition of the role and function that a school board member plays in the overall education process for Huntington County schools. In other words, delineate the role of the board versus the role of administration, the role of teachers and community.
Well, the role of the school board is to hire the superintendent and to be financially responsible, do the budgets and stuff like that for the school. They're kind of like the overview of the school and setting the curriculums for the schools to follow.
Since this is a little bit unusual situation that you'd be coming on just at the retirement of the current superintendent, what would you look for in a new superintendent?
I would look for somebody that has the school district as a top priority, obviously, because that would be their job, and they got to keep the students in mind. Everything that they could do to advance the school district to better our students.
Have you been involved in any cost-saving plan or program, whether at your work, through a government agency or committee, a not-for-profit, community service work that resulted in saving money for that entity?
Not for anything as far as the not-for-profits, but I mean, I do the books and everything for our business, and I watch every penny, so I know where they go and know which ones we need to stop running out the door, so.
Okay. How will you advocate for students?
I would advocate to keep the programs that we have going for them. The extracurricular things, like I said, the clubs, obviously the sports are always important. The music, just make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in something. I know you always have those kids that don't, but you also have now the Learning Center, which is very good for the school, to be able to advance people so they're ready to work when they get out of school.
You understand Mrs. Himes' term would end in a year from now, December of 26, and that would mean this position will be on the ballot in November of 2026. Would it be your intent to go through the election process, if you're selected tonight or either way, whether you're chosen tonight or not, would you plan to run for this seat in the November 26 election?
If I'm chosen for the seat, then yes, I would definitely run next year. If I am not chosen, I would not run it next year because you guys think that the other candidate is the proper candidate over myself, and that would be disrespectful to you all for me to turn around and try and run for a position that you chose somebody else for.
Without knowing too much about other candidates, but to promote yourself, which is always an interesting position, why are you the best candidate for this, the best qualified, the best person to be selected to fill this seat?
I'm not sure that I am the best candidate. I can only bring to you what I can do. I'm loyal. I go to every meeting. I would hope I'm the best candidate, but.
Is there anything that I've not asked you that you would like to cover? Anything you came in saying, boy, I want to make sure they ask me about this, or I can tell them that?
Nothing that I can think of.
Okay. Does the board have any follow-up questions based on what we've asked so far? No. Okay, anything closing statement?
Sorry for the stuttering. It's been 32 years since I've had a job interview, so.
You didn't have to interview for your mom and dad?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Thompson? All right. Oh, be seated. I have a new phone, and it's driving me crazy trying to get everything. All right. This is Ken Thompson. I didn't mention with Mrs. Miller, she resides in Langston Estates, just north of Warren. Mr. Thompson resides at 178 Dogwood Drive, which is just across from Salamone School in Warren. So, Mr. Thompson, please introduce yourself to us. Talk about your personal background and education experience as it relates to your application for this job. Yeah, pull it close to you. There we go.
Thank you. Ken Thompson. I grew up across the county line over in Van Buren and am a graduate of Eastbrook High School. From there, I went to IPFW before it officially became IPFW, and started a career in computer technology. And because I was 17 years old on a commuter campus, I didn't fit in very well. And I dropped out after a year. But I started studying computer systems analysis. And I simply mention that because that is probably the thread that has stuck with me throughout my life. And I've applied systems analysis to just about everything I've done, even in the church, looking at different systems and seeing what's working, what's not, and those kinds of things. I have 3 degrees from Huntington University. 2 in Bible and ministry. I am currently the pastor of the Brethren Church in Roanoke. And about midway through my career as a minister, I had a heart attack. It was a stress-related heart attack, actually 2 within a year. And I decided, the Lord helped me decide to do something different. So of all places, I ended up in the classroom and became an elementary teacher. My first experience with the school system, in the Huntington school system, was with the Transition Center. And that fit me well, being a former Marine and a pastor. Those kids were close to my heart. And just coincidentally, that is when I first met Mrs. Miller, because the Transition Center was in her building. We were leasing space up there, and she was very helpful many times with the Transition Center. But currently a pastor, I sit on a regional board that oversees 30 different churches, and I happen to chair that board at this time. And it is a leadership team, but I have found that most of the time we are putting out fires and those kinds of things and doing a lot of management. But I have developed over the years, I think it came out of my ministry training, a philosophy for ministry that also carried over to my philosophy of education as a teacher and an administrator. And that is simply 4 R's, that of being responsible, relational, relevant, and realistic. And I see that as kind of my philosophy for life. And that also applies to me in many different ways. From the classroom, I did go to Granger Christian School, where I was the senior administrator, kind of Mr. Everything for all intents and purposes, but thoroughly enjoyed that. But because of and I say this with a big smile, because of the board at that school, I had another heart attack, and that kind of pulled me away. All of my heart attacks were stress-related. I've had good doctors who, my last heart attack put me down hard, and I went on disability. And my doctors have brought me back to where I could, if I needed to, maybe slowly run a mile, those kinds of things. So my health is very good now. But I have the education and I have the experience. I have the energy. I have the availability to do this job. My application went in on the 14th, the last day for applications to come in. And I think I had been praying about it, and the Lord gave me the green light. And at 11:30, I was downloading the application and sent it into the office at 11:45. And I would say, maybe just as a little bit of a poke at Mr. Trout, he was the superintendent when I applied for the position. And by Monday, it was announced that he was resigning or retiring. And I don't know whether to take some of the blame for that, but Mr. Trout and I have talked several times over the years about how I might be able to be of service to the corporation in one way or another. My heart is still with kids, and I want to see our kids, yours, mine, and ours. I want to see our kids be successful and be ready for the future.
What are the qualities and skills of an effective school board member, and how does that match your qualities and skills?
As a pastor, I've learned to be faithful, available, and teachable, as we say, in that of always learning, always learning more about the trade, if you will, always learning more about the skills that are needed, always learning more about people and how to relate to people, how to deal with people, dealing with difficult people. So I believe I'm well-equipped to become a board member and to represent the 3rd District.
The basic question after that type of introduction too is just why do you want to do this? Why do you want to serve as a school board member? You've talked a little bit about the time necessary to serve in this capacity.
Sure. I think it's in my blood. I've told several people in the last week that I kind of wish I had stayed in education as a teacher and maybe as an administrator. So it's in my blood. When I was a teacher, I had been a pastor and a Marine before that, and I taught with a pastor's heart. And if I could bottle that up and just give that out, I would love to do that and influence both our teachers, our administrators, and our communities.
What do you believe are the strengths and the weaknesses of current public education in Huntington County?
I think that we have a very good, and I'm not really into marketing, but one of the keys to marketing is that you have a good product. We have a very good product. And as far as weaknesses, I honestly cannot think of any. I have been impressed with what I've read, what I've heard, what I've seen. Maybe over the last 10 or 15 years, because it's been, I think, 11 years since I was in the classroom. But when I was teaching, we were just getting into the standards and ensuring that we had highly qualified teachers and those kinds of things. And I saw those as good steps. Those are very positive things. I think the school system does well in listening to the public. I know, and you of course know, that public opinion is a big deal. And I have seen where the board has sought out public opinion and has been good listeners to public opinion. The thing that stands out to me, or the project, if you will, that stands out to me is our weekday religious education program. That is important to me as a pastor. And that has been in effect for quite a while. There are some districts where the public opinion would not be for that. And I think we have a good, dare I say, marriage between the community and the school system. And both are responsive to the other.
And that leads right into, you mentioned public bringing concerns to you. School board members' email addresses, their phone numbers are public records. So how will you address concerns brought to you by the public, and then how will your board votes reflect those priorities and desires of the folks in your district?
Sure. I see myself being more and more available to the public. And I would also, I'm not sure, you can check me on this, but we might be coining a new word tonight. I would like to be available, in that I'd like to see things in writing. When someone calls me, I'm probably going to ask them to put it in writing for clarity. It gives them a chance to think about what they're saying, and it helps me to better understand what they're saying. So email is going to be very important. I'm going to guide people towards email. But the pastor in me still wants to meet with people face-to-face as much as possible. I could foresee scheduling meetings in the district or being available in the district, and just maybe identifying some locations and ways that we can meet together so that I'd be more available.
And then when it comes time to vote, if you have to vote against, you get positions on both sides, how will you handle that?
Yes. You've got a great team. I've served on a number of nonprofit boards, and this board somewhat intimidates me as to the professionalism and the organization that is here. And I'm not used to that, but it is very impressive. And I know that you take the time to collaborate. I know that you take the time to listen. As a representative of District 3, I will bring those items to you for collaboration. I have just a knack, I have a desire, I have a passion for going into every conversation, trying to understand all sides of it. And I want to understand what the public is trying to say, what they want to say, and I want to explore all options. And that is where I'd be counting on board members. That's where I'd be counting on administrative staff. I wouldn't be afraid to go to the superintendent and just ask what he's thinking here and those kinds of things. And I see myself as a representative of the district, but I'm also the one who is the bridge, maybe to the board and to the administration, and that bridge goes both ways. So communication would go both ways.
Do you have any personal priorities for the board or corporate goals for the entire board? Anything you'd like to see implemented personally?
I do not personally bring an agenda or a grudge or anything like that. One thing that I'm very interested in is I would like to hear more from the technology folks, the technology department, because I'm of a generation where most of my peers are terrified of AI. And I would like to see us nip that in the bud, and I would like to see us explore more ways to take advantage of and utilize AI in the classrooms. My wife, we've got a blessing tree at the church, and it's got the little tags on it like you've seen in department stores and those kinds of things. But just yesterday we were at Walmart, and she pulled out the tag, and she said, "Here, this is your assignment." And I was fascinated because on that tag, the tag was for a 7-month-old little girl, 7 months old, and the parent was asking for an educational toy. And it just really hit me that at 7 months, education starts. So I went into Walmart, I went to a couple of the departments, the infants department and then the toy department, and I was pleasantly surprised that there are a lot of learning toys out there and those kinds of things. So that is something as a former teacher, as a former administrator, 10 years ago, that was lacking. We've grown in 10 years, so I'm interested in hearing more about what technology is doing for us today.
Okay. Talk a bit about the role and function of the board and the role and function of administration and staff. How do those match up and how do they mesh?
Yeah, I see the board as providing oversight and accountability to the administration. Fortunately for us, we know that administrators have standards of their own that they have dealt with for years. And there are expectations when we go to hire the next superintendent. I would be of the mind to ask about those standards and just to hear some responses. Those standards cover a wide variety of topics and expectations of administrators. But I see the board as representing the people with oversight and accountability to the administration. We do the work of the people, and the board represents the people. We're all representatives of different districts, and each district might have different agendae, but through collaboration and communication, we do what is best for the overall community.
What quality would you, if you could name one or two qualities you want to see in the next superintendent?
I think I would definitely want to see integrity, trustworthiness, so to speak. Someone that I would expect when they bring a proposal, when they bring their work to us, I would expect that that man or woman has done their homework. I would expect that they've explored all options. I would expect that they would be ready for our questions and they would present to us the best alternatives. That is part of the standards, I guess, that I was referring to, and that would be my expectation of the administrator, of the superintendent. As far as a board, again, just oversight and accountability.
Okay. How will you advocate for students?
Once again, based on my experience as a teacher, understanding the needs of students, I would be definitely an advocate for students. I don't know whether any of you have seen the meme that is out there, but it was sent to me by a lifelong friend whose wife has been a teacher, and she has expressed concerns going into retirement. She's overwhelmed. And the meme itself is of a teacher sitting there pondering and struggling with the idea of preparing lessons for tomorrow, having 16 IEPs and 6 504s and 2 English language learners and 1 kid preparing for his PhD. That's the challenge of teachers. I would advocate for teachers, but I would also advocate for these students who are all different and all present different challenges and different opportunities for us.
Okay, just a couple quick last questions. Taxpayers are an important part of the community too. Have you implemented any experience in cost-saving programs, either in your work in churches or any other activities that have proven good ways to be good stewards of dollars?
Sure. I've been a taxpayer for a number of years. Where we live now, we pay rent, basically, living down there at the on the campus. If this would count, I would just mention something I did today. At the church, we did some remodeling. We put a new addition on the church 20 years ago, and we ended up with two water meters. And the one water meter is barely used. And we figured up over the last 20 years, we've paid $24,000 for that meter that we barely use. And today I went down to Town Hall and I asked them to disconnect it. We talked about it as a board. We considered other options. We are going to try to run a new line to the old restrooms from the new meter. But that is something that was important to me. In a small church, of course, finances are important. And that just gets multiplied on a level such as this. But always looking for options, always looking for the best option. And I think that's, again, where we depend on our superintendent and administration, the CFO, and those kinds of people to present us with the best options.
Okay, final question. You understand this is appointment to fulfill a term that will end December of 26 and would be on the ballot in the fall of 26. Would it be your intention to run for this seat, put your name up for election, whether chosen tonight or not?
At this time, it would be my intention to run one way or another. This is an interesting situation, and you all know that the learning curve for becoming an effective board member is long and steep. And I don't expect to have it all down by that election time. But it's certainly something that to where maybe a little bit of longevity would be helpful. And I would see that as a positive step, that this would be a positive first step, and that would be an obvious second step.
Okay. Give a closing statement that maybe speaks to why you are the best qualified candidate. You have maybe the advantage of going second, but
Sure.
I realize that maybe you did. You said you did know Carrie a little bit, but for a closing statement, why are you the best qualified candidate for this position?
Sure. I think that my education and my experience, my energy, my empathy, and you can tell I'm a pastor because everything begins with the same letter. I think I'm at a point in my life to where I want to help and I want to give back, and I'm concerned about the future of education and our future together.
Board, any questions you'd like to follow up with that hasn't been asked or needs to be asked? If you would have ended with a poem and sang a verse of a hymn, that would have been very impressive. 3 points and I did. If you want to give a poem, Carrie, we could.
If I may add just one thing. When I was a teacher, I was asked the question, how do I separate church and state? And that came very easily for me. I want to be respectful of the different types of families and backgrounds that we have. Again, I'm grateful that public opinion is favorable to our religious education and for those kinds of things. But certainly that is something that I would be able to separate in the future.
Okay. All right. Good. Everybody? Aaron? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next process will be, I'll turn it back over to Tim to see if any discussion, and then we will proceed with the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. Any questions or discussion for Mr. Wiley or about our candidates before we vote?
I just want to thank everyone that applied. It takes a lot to step up and put your name in the hat, especially the two that came out and went through the process tonight. I appreciate you both for showing up, getting in front of us and having this conversation. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, so I appreciate that. And I thank both of you for coming up and doing that tonight.
I'll reiterate what Mr. Wall said. This is much more difficult than just running for office and getting elected. God bless you for wanting to get involved. You did very well, both of you. Anything further? I'll turn it over to Mr. Wiley for the vote.
Again, Mrs. Gray is prepared to call your name. You will indicate either a vote for Mrs. Miller or a vote for Mr. Thompson. Sequence will be alphabetical. Mr. Allen, Mr. Carl, Mrs. Miller, Mr. McClellan, Mr. Melcher, Mr. Wall will be in that sequence. If we don't have 4 votes after the first ballot, we will do a second round and rotate the starting vote so the same person's not always voting first. As a W, I was always at the last. As an A,
I'm always first.
You're always first. So, any questions on process or procedure before we get into it? Again, state affirmatively Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Carrie Miller, or Mr. Ken Thompson when Mrs. Gray says your name.
Mr. Allen,
My vote is for Mr. Ken Thompson.
Mr. Carl,
My vote is for Mr. Ken Thompson.
Mrs. Miller,
My vote is for Mrs. Carrie Miller.
Mr. McClellan,
My vote is for Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Melcher,
Mr. Kenneth Thompson.
Mr. Wall.
Mrs. Miller.
Okay, I want to reiterate. Let's see. Mr. Allen voted for Mr. Thompson, Mr. Carl, Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Miller for Mrs. Miller, Mr. McClellan, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Melcher, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Wall, Mrs. Miller. Am I correct on everybody's vote?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Thompson's receiving 4 votes, Mrs. Miller receiving 2 votes. So we have elected Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. Once again, thank the candidates. Really well done tonight. Very proud of you guys. Congratulations, Mr. Thompson, and honestly, congratulations, Mrs. Miller. Appreciate you guys' input. This is a reminder that this term expires at the end of next year, so there will be an election next year. I encourage everyone out there that's listening, that lives in that district, to pay attention, and hopefully there are candidates for that position. Anything else for the board? Any other items of discussion? Then I will take. We need a vote or anything? We'll just affirm the vote or not? Okay.
We do that after the meeting.
Yeah, we have a meeting before we need to do it tonight if possible. If possible.
Do you have it in your directory?
1 second.
Well, we could read it off of the, we could follow up with that, but I think the swearing in, you could do that.
We will adjourn the meeting, though. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. All those in favor?